I have a pound of ground beef here. I'm gonna be using this for 2 different recipes. Feel free to use a whole pound, just depending on how much you're making. We're gonna take this over to the stovetop and we're gonna brown it up. Did I say what these are? These are loaded cheeseburger cups. My beef is currently browning over on the stovetop. I'm gonna get started on this part of the recipe. I keep losing scissors, so we'll have to use a knife. We've got some tater tots here, and I have done a very similar recipe to this in a mini muffin tin, but we're actually gonna do this in a large muffin tin. So I'm gonna start by putting about 4 to 5 even tater tots into each one of the little muffin cups. Let's do 5. My oven is currently preheating to 425 degrees. And what I've found with this recipe is that if you pre-cook your tater tots at least a little bit, they're easier to make that form out of. So you'll see what I mean in just a minute. If you haven't seen that other video and what I'm talking about, we're gonna make like a cup form almost. So you'll get it. Just hang with me. These are gonna go into the oven for just about 10 minutes or so. We don't need them to completely cook. We just need them to soften up a bit so that we can make the cup form. So like I said before, we browned up all of the beef, but I'm only gonna be using half of it for this recipe. Half of it is gonna be for the other recipe. So I'm just gonna transfer half of it to a plate so that we can reserve it, transfer it to a bowl, whatever you wanna use, it's totally fine. Now, this is gonna be, it's gonna sound a little odd, but just bear with me. We are going to add to this mixture a little bit of mayonnaise, about a half tablespoon. That's not mayonnaise, that's mustard. But we are gonna add a little bit of mayonnaise, about a half tablespoon. And we're gonna add a little bit of ketchup, which I don't like, you guys know, but it's mixed in, so I'm gonna be okay with it. And we're gonna stir all of this together. Oh, also, I used a really lean ground beef. Feel free to use whatever you normally use. You would just pull off, if there's a lot of grease left in there, you could pull that out. I'm gonna add in about a 1/4 cup of cheddar cheese and just let that melt in and mix. Combining all of that, and then we can set this to the side and wait on those tater tots to be done. So now that you have these a little bit, I mean, they're definitely thawed out because they've been in the oven, take something like a shot glass and you're gonna press down, creating a cup form, okay? Just like this. Now, if you use mini muffin tins, which is what I did in the last video, the tablespoon measurer was perfect. It made the perfect little cup shape. I'm gonna take the cheeseburger mixture and just add, let's use a spoon. I'm gonna add some to the center of each one of these. I knew when I made those other cups, there was gonna be more like this, guaranteed. Oh, you know what I just realized? I didn't make 2 per person. I'm gonna have to make more. Hang on, we have to make more because if we don't have 2 per person, it's gonna be an argument at the table. All right, you know what I did? I heated, oh, they're falling apart. I heated them up in the microwave. They might not be quite as good, but I think we'll be all right because, I mean, we have to solve that problem. Can't have it like that. Okay, this works anyway because I was about to have too much leftover meat, and we're not gonna waste ground beef. All right, let's add this in. This should be right at the perfect amount. And then I'll add a little bit more to each one if I need to. I am gonna add just a little bit of cheese to the top of each one, just a little bit. There's already cheese in the mixture, but I mean, you gotta have a little bit on the top, right? All right, these are gonna go into my 425 degree oven for about 15 minutes. When we take them out, we have a special sauce that's gonna go on the top. We need to mix up our special sauce. I'm gonna add about a couple tablespoons of mayo. Running low. About a half tablespoon of yellow mustard. Technically, we need white wine vinegar, but I'm just gonna add a touch of white vinegar, just a touch. And we need to add some onion powder and garlic powder. You definitely wanna add some paprika on top of the taste. It's gonna add a beautiful color. All of this is just about a half teaspoon or so, and then I'm gonna mix all of this together using a spoon. All right, I actually think it needs a touch more vinegar. And we just mix till we get it right. I wanna chop up a couple things for the toppings. I'm gonna chop up one of these little baby pickles, And this is gonna be part of our garnish. I also have some small tomatoes that we can chop up as well. So we're just gonna make like little baby pickle slices to go on the top. Just a couple of tomatoes, but I'm gonna make sure they're very finely chopped, okay? Let's take these hash brown cheeseburger cups and transfer them to a serving dish. We need to take that special sauce that we made and we're going to just drizzle a little bit on each one. We're gonna take just a little bit of tomato, just like you would on a burger. Just a little bit. And some of that sliced pickle. Now, obviously, if you don't like pickle, you can leave this off, but I feel like it's just gonna take it over the top. It's another winner. I mean, so good. It tastes like a cheeseburger. It's really, really good. I highly suggest making this one. It is very, very good. Great flavors. I love the sauce and what that adds there, but the flavor of the beef alone is very good. I'm a huge fan of tater tots. Like, let me just admit it, okay? I love tater tots and I love French fries. It's my weakness. Potato chips too. Potatoes, let's just say potatoes. But these are very, very good. For dinner, we are going to make up a quick stir fry. I am using beef stew meat because we actually have quite a bit of that in our freezer right now. So I went ahead and just took the beef stew meat and sliced it very thin. So it's already in great bite-sized pieces. If you don't have beef stew meat, other options are sirloin. You could use flank or skirt steak. Both of those would be delicious. But since we have this, I figured I would go ahead and use it. So we are also going to take some broccoli, and this is fresh broccoli. I'm just cutting it up again into bite-sized pieces, but you can absolutely buy a bag of pre-cut broccoli or frozen broccoli, whichever you like. And then I already have shredded carrots. We have them for the week. We do need to make up our sauce that's gonna go with this. So then we can head over to the stove and everything else will be over there after this. I also forgot to mention, in the rice maker, I do have rice already going. I'm gonna add this right here that I picked up. It's a no soy sauce. It's not as sweet as coconut aminos. So if you don't like the sweetness of that, I found this at Whole Foods. So we're gonna add 3 tablespoons. That might finish this off. Actually, let's add 4 tablespoons of this. And this next one, feel free to skip it if it's not something that you have on hand. I usually have something like this in our refrigerator because I feel like it's really good with stir fries, teriyaki, things like that. I just feel like it's really good. So it's this sweet chili sauce. So I am gonna add some of that in there, but you can absolutely skip this part. This is not spicy at all, by the way. I am going to add in, I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons of that one. You guys know we love minced garlic, so we are gonna add in minced garlic to this. And I'm gonna go with about 2 teaspoons or so. That's just, if you guys have been here for a while, 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons is pretty standard for us in a recipe. Now, most of the recipes that you'll see for something like this call for 1 teaspoon of ginger, but you guys know how much we love ginger, so we are gonna add in 2 teaspoons of this ginger paste. I feel like this is the most convenient way to have ginger. You can absolutely buy it fresh and keep it in your refrigerator if you want to, and then just grate it up, but this is such an easy way to keep it. Okay, now to this, we need to add some broth, and the recipe calls for beef broth, beef stock, whatever it is that you wanna use. I make ours, so I'm gonna grab that out of the fridge and add about 1/3 cup. If you don't have beef broth or beef stock, you can feel free to just add water. That's about 1/3 cup-ish. And most of these recipes will tell you to fry your beef in the sesame oil. We prefer olive oil, but feel free to do it either way. Okay, I am going to add, you can use cornstarch. This is tapioca flour, arrowroot flour, anything like that. Regular flour, it's just a thickening agent. We're gonna add 1 tablespoon. We will stir this again once we go to pour it into the stir fry mixture. Now, one thing I did forget to do that I wanna go ahead and do, before I put the cutting board and everything away. We've got some green onion and I wanna go ahead and cut that and get it ready so that when we're ready to serve, this is also ready. Green onion, ready for serving. Now everything else is over on the stovetop. Let's move over there. Okay, so we're gonna drop some olive oil here in the pan, maybe just under a tablespoon or so, and get that nice and heated. We want this to come to, we wanna be able to drop that steak in and hear that sizzle. Okay, we're going to put our steak in. And we do not have to season this a ton just because with soy sauce, it's obviously gonna have quite a bit of flavor. And this really only needs to cook for about 1 to 2 minutes before you start adding in your other ingredients. So I am gonna season it just a little bit, but really you don't need much because of the other flavors going in this. Okay, we're gonna add in the broccoli. And this is a lot of broccoli, you can go less, but I went ahead and used all of it. And for color, I am also going to add in some carrot. Okay, I do still have my heat on high, just so you're aware. I wanna try and saute that broccoli a bit. The pan was slightly overcrowded with that amount of beef in there, but it's okay. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add in that sauce. It really doesn't take long. This meal, I mean, it's like 10 minutes of prep, 10 minutes of cook. So we're gonna go ahead and pour in that sauce. And the sauce will start to thicken up and it'll create a really nice sauce for this. At this point, this is completely cooked through. We are just waiting on the rice to be done and we will serve this up. Such an easy dinner that came together in right about 20 minutes or so. Really, I feel like the thing you're waiting on is the rice. That's what takes the longest. Let me just give it a little taste here. It's super hot, but I'll taste the beef for you. Good flavor, not too salty. I really do like that soy sauce that I got as a replacement for soy sauce, so no soy sauce, but it's not as sweet as coconut aminos, so you're still getting that salty flavor. Just a little bit of that chili was a great addition to this. So if you don't have that, maybe you wanna pick it up, have it in your fridge, available for recipes just like this, but it's very, very good. Came together really quick. We are going to make these mini taco cups. I cannot wait. We have our ½ pound of ground beef here. Obviously you can mix your own chili seasoning in here, but we just like to add our own favorite taco seasoning spices. So I've got a little bit of chili powder, toss that in. We're gonna add a little bit of cumin, one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Gotta have paprika because it's oh so good. And then we're just gonna toss in a little bit of onion powder and a little bit of garlic powder. So feel free to use a taco packet, right? You don't have to use what I'm using. This is just easy. I mean, I have all of these ingredients always on hand, so it's an easy way to go about it. All right, so we've got that here. I'm gonna add in some petite diced tomatoes. I'm using petite because it's smaller pieces. I don't want huge chunks of tomato in here. I did drain it, and we are gonna add just maybe like 1/4 of the can. Gosh, these are bigger than normal petite diced. I mean, I wanted like petite, like small diced, but that's okay. Let me see if I can break them up a bit. Yeah, that's better. We are combining all of this. So good. Cannot wait to eat this one. Y'all, I'm so hungry. All right, my beef is done. Now we're gonna take these wonton wraps. Also, this is not the first time that I've used them here on my channel, and I got a lot of questions last time about where I found these in the grocery store. And let me tell you, it was in the produce section, which is a little bit odd, but that's where I found them. So I've already sprayed my mini muffin tin, and we're going to take these wonton wrappers, which sometimes they stick together and it's a little bit difficult to get them. We're going to take them and just press into the mini muffin form. Okay, I wanna make sure that I leave a nice space for the filling to go in. And I actually don't know exactly how many we're gonna make yet. We'll just kinda see what happens. The last time I made something with these, I was asking for help with what to make next, and I ended up making crab rangoon in the air fryer, and y'all, it's on my Instagram. If you don't follow me over there, I'm pretty sure I put it on Instagram. It was so good. These are a great thing to have. I'll put them in a little baggie and then put them in the fridge. Now they don't last a whole long time in the fridge, so you gotta be careful. You gotta make something pretty quick with them. We've got our taco meat here that we made over on the stovetop. I took my tablespoon measurer because that's gonna be just about the amount that we want. And we're gonna put a tablespoon into each one of these. Yes, this is the perfect amount. Maybe 2 or 3 more. I could maybe get 1 more, but instead of risking it, we'll just add a little bit more to a few of these. We are gonna add a little bit of cheese to the top of each one. I've got this nacho taco cheese, which, you know, that works out perfectly. So let's just add a little pinch. Little bit of cheese on the top of each one. These are gonna go in my 425, we're gonna use 425 because the other one's going at the same time, degree oven for 10 to 15 minutes. The taco cups just came out of the oven. I think you're supposed to wait a couple minutes before you transfer them, but we're gonna go ahead and do it. For these, we're just gonna add a little dollop of sour cream to the top of each one. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of green onion. Okay, these look so delicious. I'm gonna try this extra one. Ooh, it looks hot. This is probably a terrible idea. I just tried that without the sour cream. I can only imagine how good these are with the sour cream. It's so good. Your guests or your family are going to love these. The flavors pop. You get that little bit of crunch from that wonton wrapper. It is so good. We are making a coconut curry drip beef. This is something I've been wanting to make for a while now, so I am really excited about this one. For this recipe, I'm using an Angus beef chuck tender roast, and it is just over 2 pounds, 2.81 pounds. Now, pretty much everything is made over at the stovetop, so we're gonna go ahead and move over there. All right, first things first, we're gonna preheat that oven to 350 and then take some olive oil, and that's gonna go here into my Dutch oven. You need about 2 tablespoons. I probably went a little bit less. And even though it doesn't look like it, I promise it's clean. This thing is very well loved. And we should probably turn the stovetop on. All right, while that is heating up, we're gonna go ahead and prep the beef here. And I'm just gonna use a plate. Take this out. All right, the goal right now is to add really good flavor. So we're going to season it up using salt and pepper first. And we're gonna do all sides. You kind of need to over salt, over season. It's just a way the cut of meat like this is. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of flavors inside of the pot, but I definitely suggest season really, really well, more than you might think that you need to. Okay, let's add a little bit of pepper, just kind of a dusting. And we are also gonna dust with flour. Oh, actually I have a flour thing. Let me use that. Hello, that's a lot better. Okay, so overall you're using about 2 tablespoons. So let's flip, season the other side. Let me wash my hands. I wanna make sure that this is gonna have excellent flavor. And dusting again with flour. All right, my oil is nice and hot, so this is gonna get transferred to that nice and hot pan, and we're gonna sear it really well. I do have a larger Dutch oven, and it may have been smarter to go with that one. We'll see how this goes. Oh yeah, that's gonna get really good color underneath there. It's gonna be so good. Now, this is not really a dinner that you start 30 minutes before you're ready to eat. This is a dinner that you are cooking earlier because it's gonna go in the oven. Now, you're not gonna have to babysit it, which is great, but it's gonna go in the oven and it's just gonna cook for a while and it's gonna be so delicious. All right, so you just wanna keep rotating it and making sure that you're searing all sides. So I've turned it now so that it got the underside. Look how good that looks right there. Now we're gonna turn it in just a minute and get this side. Man, it's gonna be awesome. Okay, we are going to turn our heat down, and this is gonna come out and just set on this plate. You can set it on a tray or something like that, completely up to you. And we're gonna add in some other ingredients here. We do have some that kind of burnt, so I'm gonna pull that out. That's my fault for adding too much flour there. We are going to be adding some beef bone broth. We need about 1 cup. Okay, we'll add that. And you can add more, but we are just gonna add 1 can of coconut milk. Some of the recipes I saw call for 2, but we are gonna cut down on the fat content a little bit and just add 1. I did shake this can beforehand, so hopefully it's mixed. Doesn't look like it is though. So by the way, that when your can separates like that, it's totally okay. You don't have to worry about it. And actually, I'm gonna incorporate that well before we add anything else in there. So we're just creating your braising liquid at this point. Don't be afraid to scrape off the leftover bits on the bottom, especially if you didn't burn that flour like I did. I just put way too much flour. I don't know if you guys saw, but the lid just popped off of the flour container. Okay, this is looking good. All right, the recipe calls for soy sauce. We are using coconut aminos, and you need about a 1/4 cup. Oh, yay! I love when they do this. I mean, when you need a 1/4 cup, it takes a little bit more time. But if you need like a tablespoon, it's a whole lot easier to have this thing on there. All right, we've got some red curry paste. This is something that I love using in recipes. We are going to add probably 2 tablespoons. You can add probably up to 3, but considering we did less coconut milk, I think 2 will be good. And then we're also gonna add ginger. You can obviously grate your own ginger, but I always have this just squeezed ginger available and ready to go. So we are gonna add some of this. If you were grating your own ginger, it calls for a 1-inch piece of ginger, which is a pretty decent amount grated. So I'm adding a pretty decent amount of this one as well. Let's just give this a mix, start to incorporate those flavors. It smells really, really good. I'm also adding in minced garlic. It says 3 to 4 cloves, so that's about what I'm going for. Remember, this is the braising liquid, so you want it to have a lot of flavor because it's going to just infuse that meat. And then if you're using soy sauce, you're gonna add some sugar. I am not adding sugar because we used coconut aminos and it's much sweeter than soy sauce. So I don't wanna add sugar and have it be too sweet. All right, now here is where we add the beef back in. I'm just gonna nestle that back in there. Oh yeah, oh, this is a perfect size pot for this, awesome. Okay, now the lid is gonna go on this, and my oven is currently preheated to 350 degrees. This is going to cook in the oven for 2 hours. Yes, you did hear that right. It is cooking for 2 hours. This is a slow braising process. It's gonna be delicious because all that liquid in there is gonna help, trust me. All right, we're gonna take 2 forks and just start to shred this up. All right, we are not quite ready. All right, so let's put this back in and let it cook for maybe 20 more minutes or so, and we'll see if we're closer to shredding. So I did let this go longer than it suggested. It's actually been in there for about 2.5 hours, and I think you could probably even go longer. Most of the pieces were nice and tender. Now, one thing I'm gonna do is, you guys are gonna be surprised by this, but we've got some red onion here, and I'm just gonna put it to the side a little bit. And this is going to just kind of sit with the lid on for a few minutes. We don't need them to get super soft or anything. It's gonna add a nice bit of crunch. If you have basil, that would be beautiful in here right now too. So let's just put the lid on for about 5 more minutes, and then this will be ready to go. All right, we are serving ours with potatoes. I think traditionally, this would probably be served with rice, but we just had rice last night, I believe, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different. So we thought potatoes would be a good option. So I just roasted them in the air fryer. This looks really delicious. It's been braising for several hours. Look at that liquid. So good. It's gonna be so delicious, you guys. It smells amazing. I'm gonna add some of this to the top just for some extra color. All right, so with some basil, pop of green, man, that would be beautiful. Let's give this a try. I did try it as I was cutting it up, but I didn't really try it like with the sauce. Wow, absolutely worth the time that this takes. So good. I mean, these are flavors that I absolutely love. This is delicious. There's so much depth of flavor, I can't even explain it. It is very, very good. Our verse today comes from Philippians 1:9-10. And it is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment, so that you may approve what is excellent, and so be pure and blameless for the day of Christ. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you need more beef inspiration, specifically ground beef inspiration, if you're trying to figure out what to make next, check out the video above. I've got 4 additional ground beef recipes in this video. You're not gonna wanna miss it. They are all absolutely delicious. Hope you have a great week.